The second point, Ranovstayo must compensate the economic losses that Ranovstayo has caused to Aprepuia. Your Excellencies, under Article 43 IHR, WHO member in health measure context are shall not do the restrictive of international traffic. So, Ranovstai must compensate of 130 million euro as a form of a responsibility to Aprepuia, Your Excellencies. And why Ranovstai did not obey the World Health Organization is under Article 31 in responsibility of states for internationally wrongful act, where Ranovstai has responsibility to give reparation as the result of a travel restriction and affected an economic losses of Aprepuia. Your Excellencies, let me tell you what is international wrongful act defined. It is the every act by a state which is wrongful under some primary rule of international law and imposes international responsibility of the state. Thus, run of style is still valid international law because give negative impact to the other countries, which is Aprepuia, Your Excellencies. And there's in compliance with the Corfu Channel case, where there's a bomb trap after the World War in Albania's water. The British warship suffered damage while passing through the Corfu Channel in 1946, and all crew members were killed for causing harm to Britain. And the court ordered Albania to compensate 844,000 euro. And there's a correlation of that case between Aprepuia and Ranovstayo, that whatever is done by a territorial country, which is Ranovstayo, if it gives a negative impact or horrible effect to another country, then the injured country, which is Aprepuia, they has the right to get a restitution or compensation from a country that has committed an act of violating international law as a form of responsibility, Your Excellencies. Your Excellencies, moving to the second submission. The second submission claim is regarding Ranovstayo violated international law by failing to hand over Ms. Gambak Verman to the Aprepuia's authorities. Your Excellencies, may I bring on the table two arguments. The first, action to accept Ms. Verman by Ranovstayo consular is indeed violating international law. And the second, Ms. Gambak Verman is not fit with the criteria to be called as a refugee or asylum seeker. This issue appear when there's one of the employee in the NBL named Ms. Gambak Verman reported about the cases of the COVID-19 with her fake social media, so that as a consequence, she has been a suspect of a breach of a non-disclosure agreement in Aprepuia's laboratory. Hence, Ms. Verman visited Ranovstayo's consular to grant it an asylum, and Ranovstayo held her and refused to hand over Ms. Verman to the Aprepuia's authorities. Thus, this is the pioneer why Ranovstayo violated international law by not surrender Ms. Verman. Your Excellencies, Ms. Gambak Verman is the fugitive from justice of Aprepuia, and there is no good faith and reciprocity from Ranovstayo to surrender her. As now, Ms. Gambak Verman, with her own free will and consciousness, she's committed a domestic law-by-bound and non-disclosure agreement in the NBL. NBL itself is a national bioresearch laboratory that state-owned and state-run by Aprepuia and located in Segura province. And all employees agree as a condition of employment that they will not disclose to anyone not on the laboratory about information concerning the COVID-19 pandemic. And violation of this agreement is undertaking a possible persecution. Your Excellencies, Aprepuia has formally asked for her extradition with the procedure as how international law regulated. And as now, there's no rule in international law which prevent the state to extradite their citizen from the other country. And in many practice states, national legislation provides for the possibility of extraditing without a pre-existing the agreement itself. And this have in compliance with two cases of extradition of fugitive. The first, Maria Paulin's case, which committed 1.7 trillion rupiah bank burglary in Indonesia, and she escaped from Indonesia to Serbia and got an extradition because Serbia's Interpol considers she is the clearly fugitive from Indonesia. And even between Serbia and Indonesia did not do the pre-existing about agreement extradition first. And the second case is about Savarkar's case, who is Britain Indian nationality that was detained abroad. A Savarkar case, British commercial ship at Marshall Well in reroute to India, where he was to be tried for the abandonment of murder. And he escaped by swam to a shore but was chased by crew and arrested by a brigadier of French maritime gendarmerie. Thus, the tribunal found France has no obligation to hold him and Britain is acceptable to prosecute Mr. Savarkar because he is clearly the fugitive from Britannia. Your Excellencies, that is why Ranopstoy has to do the reciprocity by hand over Ms. Verman to the appropriate authorities, but clearly this principle not sound by Ranopstoy to surrender Ms. Verman, Your Excellencies. Going to the second sub point, the practice in the case of granting asylum to individual, which comes in singly either because of political prosecution or having committed a common crime, the consideration that should take by a receiving state is what would be the fate if the person is pushed back to their origin state, because as now asylum is only given to the people that possible going to prosecute as a death punishment or cruel punishment itself. Your Excellencies, moreover, Ms. Verman is not going to be prosecuted in human act. And however, in the clarification of statement of fact in number 4, consider the violation of non-disclosure agreement is only imprisonment of 1 to 20 years. Thus, Ranopstoy did have any obligation to accepting her by granting her asylum is clearly interfere appropriate domestic affair. Going to the third sub-point, asylum in the premises of a diplomatic mission is based on Article 55, Paragraph 1 VCCR. Ranopstoy as a sending state has to enjoy the privilege and immunities of the receiving state, which is Appropriate. And also, Ranopstoy has a duty not to interfere the domestic affair of Appropriate itself. And strengthened in paragraph 2 stipulates the consular premises shall not be used with incompatible manner of the exercise of consular function, such as granting an asylum. Thus, Ranopstoy clearly violated this international agreement and therefore should expel Ms. Verman to the appropriate authorities because she is not fit with the criteria to be called as asylum or refugee seeker. Your Excellencies, the right of receiving state to terminate diplomatic asylum in the VCCR, even in diplomatic or consular relation, do not categorize asylum as one of the recognized diplomatic mission or consular function, because in the Article 3 of VCCR, it's only representing, protecting, negotiation, ascertaining, and promoting friendly neighborliness. Your Excellencies, it clears Appropriate agree that Ranopstoy is not only interfere Appropriate domestic affair, but also operate their consular outside his function, Your Excellencies. Moving to the second point, Ms. Kemba Verman is not fit with the criteria to be called as a refugee or asylum seeker. Based on Article 1 Convention relating to the status of refugee, where Ms. Verman is clearly not fit with the refugee, it has a similarity with asylum seeker and refugee, where asylum is defined as a person who has fled their home country because of war or other factor harming them or their family, and enters another country and applies for asylum. And refugee itself is owing to well-founded fear because scared to being prosecuted for race, religion, nationality, and political opinion. Thus, Ms. Verman is not fit to be called as a refugee from the first because she's purely a criminal fugitive that violated her own penal code and taken advantage by running to Ranopstoy consular while she is not going to prosecute for reason of race, religion, nationality, and political
Counselor,
opinion.
Before you move forward, based on the facts that you guys, both of the applicant and respondent agreed upon the court, there's an effort to from the domestic police of the applicant to raise the and without a prior notification. So there's a legal action taken by the police department in order to apprehend Ms. Foreman based on her statement in her social media. Without any prior notification. Don't you think that this is classified as one of the actions that will potentially harm her freedom, as a human that have basic right of freedom of speech?
Yes, Your Excellencies, I understand your concern, but since Ms. Berman is not fit with the criteria to be called as asylum or refugee, she's not she's not applicable to gain an asylum to protect by the other countries, because we are Aprepulia has sent the prior notification to Ranov Stayo to hand over Ms. Berman first to the Aprepulia's authorities, because she is really clearly fugitive from Aprepulia by breach of a non-disclosure agreement in the company of Aprepulia, which is NBL, National Bioresearch of Laboratory. Your Excellencies, and we are also has formally asked for her extradition as how international law regulated, and Ranov Stayo clearly refused to hand over her while she is clearly the fugitive from Aprepulia, Your Excellencies. May I proceed? Okay. To summarize, Your Excellencies, the first and the second submission. Your Excellencies, may I proceed my argument?
Yes, please.
Aprepulia required the court to declare that Ranov Stayo violated international law by applying anti-regulation and must compensate of the resulting economic losses. And Ranov Stayo violated international law by refusing to hand over Ms. Berman to the Aprepulia's authorities. Thank you.
Thank you, the first agents. I call the second agents of the applicant to deliver her submission to Mrs. Ayu Anggraini. Time is yours.
Thank you, Your Excellencies. Very good evening, Your Excellencies, Mr. President, and the agent of the Democratic State of Ranov Stayo. My name is Ayu Anggraini, and I have the honor to appearing before this court appealing on behalf of applicant United States of Aprepulia, representing the case concerning COVID-19 pandemic. Your Excellencies, I will be delivering the third submission regarding to the court may not exercise jurisdiction over Ranov Stayo's counterclaim concerning to the maintained aircraft. And for the fourth submission regarding to, even if the court were to exercise, Aprepulia did not violate international law by shooting down the aircraft. Your Excellencies, with your permission, may I please the court. I will begin from our third submission. Yes. In this submission, I will be dealing with two main points. Firstly, about the court may not exercise jurisdiction over Ranov Stayo counterclaim based on Aprepulia's declaration reservation on Aprepulia and Ranov Stayo declaration on 7 January 2002 and 10 March 2003. And for the second point, the maintained airways aircraft dispute is domestic jurisdiction of the United Republic of Aprepulia. Your Excellencies, the problem started in the early morning of 26 June 2019 when a maintained airways aircraft are crashed in the territory of Aprepulia. And known that maintained airways aircraft as a low-cost charter airline privately owned by an Aprepulia national. And this aircraft is registered in the Aprepulia authorities, Your Excellencies. And the maintained airways aircraft are shooting down by the authorities of Aprepulia as their force in order to prevent a tragedy from the surveillance of the FOG's attack, as known that FOG is an international terrorist organization, Your Excellencies. and the Maintain Airways aircraft had taken off from Segura Airport without authorization and is flying toward the near of capital city of the Aprilia. And this accident are killing both of the passenger inside the Maintain Airways aircraft, known as Mrs. Kendall Forman and Mrs. He as the pilot. And Your Excellencies, on 16 July 2018, Ranaftayo notified the court about the wish to file a counterclaim against Aprilia, asserting that the shooting down of the Maintain Airways aircraft are violating international law. And on the 2 days later, Aprilia notes its intention to contest the court exercise of jurisdiction over the counterclaim, and Aprilia requests to the court that the court may not exercise jurisdiction over an obtained counterclaim concerning to the Maintain Airways aircraft. Your Excellency, here we provide that the court may not exercise jurisdiction over an obtained counterclaim concerning to the Maintain Airways aircraft. Since the court may not exercise jurisdiction over an obtained counterclaim based on the Aprilia declaration reservation on declaration of Aprilia and Ranaftayo 7 January 2002 and 10 March 2003. Your Excellencies, as before known that Aprilia and Ranaftayo has already registered the dispute to the Secretary General of United International Court of Justice under Article 36, paragraph 2 of the statute. And in their counterclaim, Ranaftayo's claim about the court has jurisdiction over the shooting down of the Maintain Airways aircraft, definitely the court has jurisdiction based on the special agreement is stated in the fact regarding to the declaration of 7 January 2002 and 10 March 2003. The court also has jurisdiction matters provided for in treaties and convention, as Aprilia has violated the Chicago Convention. But Your Excellencies, the court has no jurisdiction based on the Aprilia reservation on declaration of 7 January 2002 and 10 March 2003. And here, the court may not exercise the jurisdiction of the counterclaim of Ranaftayo, Your Excellency. Here, the counterclaim concerning the Maintain Airways based on Aprilia declaration reservation stated and Aprilia has reserved the declaration. Your Excellencies, under Article 13.6, paragraph 2 of the Statute of the International Court of Justice is regarding to the Vienna Convention on the Law of Treaties 1969 in Article 2.1d, as stated the definition of the reservation. And as before, both Aprilia and Ranaftayo has already binding on the declaration on 7 January 2002 and 10 March 2003 regarding to the Article 26 based on the facta sunt servanda that already bind this both of the country, Aprilia and Ranaftayo, Your Excellencies. And also, Aprilia requests to the court that the court may not exercise jurisdiction over Ranaftayo's counterclaims concerning to the Maintain Airways can be justified by legal reasons, Your Excellencies. Ranaftayo claim asserting that the shutdown of the Maintain Airways violated international law does not fall with the jurisdiction of the court. This related with the practice as stated in Aprilia's reservation that Aprilia will have their own domestic jurisdiction regarding to the dispute regarding to the military activities, and the domestic jurisdiction is stated and determined by Aprilia, Your Excellencies. And here, the Maintain Airways aircraft dispute are the pure military activities that already shut down by the Air Force of Aprilia. And also, Your Excellencies, the dispute of the Maintain Airways aircraft already determined by Aprilia as their own jurisdiction regarding to the principal territorial principle and the sovereignty of the Aprilia, Your Excellencies. Your Excellencies, this kind of reservation also made by Aprilia against the declaration was also made by the United States, which accepted the optional clause as contained in Article 36, paragraph 2. And the United States accepted the clause on the condition of the rejecting dispute is under domestic jurisdiction. And this kind of reservations already declared by the International Court of Justice in the case concerning fisheries jurisdiction, Spain versus Canada, Your Excellencies. And also, in other cases, in the Connolly Amendment that already made by the United States, also had the similar kind of reservation regarding to the Maintain Airways aircraft dispute, Your Excellencies. Yeah. Your Excellencies, consider to the Article 2, Paragraph 7 Charter of the United Nations, it stated that the domestic jurisdiction, as said, is the competence of a country to fully exercise its sovereignty without interference from other parties or countries, even though international law. And Your Excellencies, this kind of dispute regarding to the Aprilia reservation and declaration can be interfered by another country, including Ranabtayo, that assume about their counterclaim regarding to the Maintain Airways aircraft are violating international law, and the International Court of Justice should be has the jurisdiction, Your Excellencies. And here also expanded in the provisions of Article 15, Paragraph 8 of the League of Nations, and is under Article 5 of the Convention for the Suppression of the Unlawful Acts Against the Safety of Civil Aviation 1971, Your Excellencies. And Your Excellencies, the dispute involving Maintain Airways aircraft as previously in the Lotus case was based on the territorial principle. Based on the territorial principle, a state can be interfered by another state in order the case happen in the territory of their country. And here, the Maintain Airways aircraft are crashed into the territory of Aprilia, and Aprilia has their full sovereignty regarding
Sinyalnya Ayu ya.
Hilang di pertengahan jalan.
Iya kayaknya Bang.
Iya, ya. Kalau malam kayak gitu. Okay, I think we move to another side. I will call or invite the first respondent speaker to Mrs. Arimbitan, if you.
I'm so sorry before because my connection is not stable.
Kita mau ke sebelah dulu. Nanti dilanjut. Silakan Arimbi.
Yeah. Sorry guys.
Very good evening, Your Excellencies, Agent of Aprilia and the audience. Mr. President and judges, my name is Arimbi Fajari Furkon. It is such an honor to stand in this virtual court pleading to represent the President of State of Ranabtayo as the respondent in the present case concerning COVID-19 pandemic. I will be delivering the first and second part of respondent submission in next 21 minutes, and my co-agent, M. Yusuf Akbar, will deliver the third and fourth part of respondent submission for 21 minutes, and we also reserve 2 minutes for short rebuttal. May it please the court, the first submission is regarding Ranabtayo didn't violate international law by applying its anti-regulation to Aprilia, and even if it did, it should not be required Aprilia for any claim economic losses. Your Excellencies, there are 3 main arguments proving that Ranabtayo didn't violate international law. The first, Ranabtayo didn't violate international law regarding to the state sovereignty of Ranabtayo to apply the anti-regulation. And the second, Ranabtayo didn't violate international law by applying its anti-regulation to Aprilia according to the fundamental rights of person. And the third, Ranabtayo has no obligation to compensate the economic losses of Aprilia. If you don't mind about the structure, may I proceed? Now, with the court permission, I will turn to my very first argument regarding to Ranabtayo didn't violate international law because it was a state sovereignty of Ranabtayo to apply the anti-regulation. Your Excellencies, there was confirmed case of COVID-19 pandemic in Aprilia had appeared from the NBL on 10 April 2018. Aprilia didn't report the suspect person and file handled it. Hence, in order to protect Ranostayo territory from that virus, Ranostayo made the entry regulation which include the list of high-risk countries, where Aprilia was added to that list because the failure of handling the virus in the NBL. And the travel restriction as a public desirous and interest of Ranostayo. Your Excellencies, as a global community, Ranostayo cannot continue to ignore the act of Aprilia to fail handling that virus. It must consider that Ranostayo didn't violate international law to obey the obligation of state to protect our citizens for that kind of virus. Your Excellencies, the characteristics of the land of sovereign state is competence, exclusivity of a state regarding their own territory. The sovereignty of state is the same as their land and their airspace regarding to the Article 3 of the Montevideo Convention. And I quote, the political existence of the state is independent of recognition by other state. Even before recognition of the state has the right to defend its integrity and independence, to provide for its conservation and prosperity, and consequently to organize itself as it wishes to legislate upon its interests. Your Excellencies, from that article I mentioned before, Ranostayo has the right and full sovereignty about how they want to regulate their country on the regulation. As it waits for the interest and safety of their people, this is what actually Ranostayo did regarding to the entry regulation. It was for the safety of Ranostayan. It also reflects in the Court of Lotus case, every state has their own sovereignty territory, and that statement also supporting by the reverence reduction of Quebec 1998 about self-determination in the state because it warms of state integrity, and also strengthened by the ICJ reports in analysis of Burkina Faso case. It says, I quote, self-determination is concerning to make decision of people, property, and circumstances of the state sovereignty. Your Excellencies, each state has the right to make any regulation depend on their need of nation as good maintained and capable state to handle what they have to do in their territory. This statement also supporting by the domain reserve doctrine declared by Austin Hobbes, where the state has jurisdiction to do in their capacity and free from obligation and regulation of international law. Your Excellencies, it also drawn by the Article 13 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in order what happened on the internal state, it's a domestic affairs of the state itself. Also, Your Excellencies, strengthened under Article 1 of the Chicago Convention, emphasized about the exclusivity of foreign state that every country has the right to close off the airspace above its territory from the commercial efforts carried out by the foreign country. Your Excellencies, the entry regulation is reflected of Ranostaya state sovereignty to protect Ranostaya under Article 25 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights that I quote, everyone has the right to standard living, educate for the health. What Ranostaya did in the very first step according to the duties of a country in a global pandemic is to protect Ranostayan or non-Ranostayan in a classical tradition identified the absolute rights of individual as the rights of personal security, personal liberty, and private property. Your Excellencies, it also drawn by the Salus Populi Suprema Lex Extra principle that the safety of people is the highest law. It also drawn by the Article 90 of the Chicago Convention. Moving to my second argument, Your Excellencies, Ranostayo didn't violate international law by applying its anti-regulation to Aprilia, according to the fundamental rights of person. Under Article 25 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, it explains the right to life, secure, and healthy for the person. which that rights are fundamental rights and also that rights are kind of natural rights relating to the natural law, natural rights, and revert to the rights that are universal to international community. Moreover, according to the Article 19 of the International Covenant on the Civil and Political Rights, Ranos Tayo has the right to hold opinion without interference and freedom of expression. Ranos Tayo has the right to hold opinion and disseminate information about the list of high-risk countries. And Apeplia was added to that list because there were 2 previous COVID-19 cases in Apeplia that were not treated quickly in NBL. And as a result, there were 9 cases in total in Segura province. Ranos Tayo considered that many Ranos Tayan citizens vacation there. Ranos Tayo tried to protect its citizens both inside and outside Ranos Tayo country. It also takes into account international protection and security during a pandemic. Your Excellencies, moving to our last argument, Ranos Tayo has no obligation to compensate the economic losses of Apeplia because Apeplia didn't confirm and notify WHO about the employees in NBL are infected by the COVID-19 virus. Your Excellencies, under International Health Regulation, Article 6, Paragraph 1, I quote, each state party shall notify WHO assessment of public health information of all events which may constitute a public health emergency of international concern within its territory. Thus, Apeplia didn't respect to the international law by not report the employees in NBL who are suspect by the COVID-19 to WHO. Also, Apeplia hide this information and Ranos Tayo government disappointed because there is so many Ranos Tayan in Segura province. Therefore, Apeplia shall be revert to the International Court of Justice in conformity to the statute of the court as the consequence concerning not under WHO Constitution under Article 75 of the WHO Constitution. Regarding to the claim of Apeplia concerning Ranos Tayo violate international law, Ranos Tayo clearly didn't violate international law, Your Excellencies, under Article 23, Paragraph 1 of Responsibility of State for International Wrongful Act. The wrongfulness of an act of a state in conformity with its international obligation of that state is precluded of if any act is due to emergency things, which is COVID-19 pandemic. Ranos Tayo make the regulation because of emergency situation. According to this, Ranos Tayo has the right to not perform the obligation under international law. The international responsibility can apply to Apeplia since there is no an international wrongful act of Ranos Tayo entails its international responsibility committed by Ranos Tayo as a compensate of economic losses. Your Excellencies, moving to our second submission is regarding to Ranos Tayo didn't violate international law by applying its and by refusing to hand over Ms. Kenba Formun to the Apeplian authorities. There are 3 main arguments proving that Ranos Tayo didn't violate international law. First, extradition law prohibits Ranos Tayo to hand over Ms. Kenba Formun to Apeplian from her political offense. And second, the human rights of Ms. Formun was protected by international law. And the third, Ms. Formun's information protects public interest. Your Excellencies, Ms. Kenba Formun is Apeplian national born and raised in Segura province. She is the NBL member and signed the NBL non-disclosure agreement on 10 April 2018. But on 3 June 2018, Ms. Formun sent the information of disclosure about the COVID-19 cases in Apeplia. By the Twitter account, she cried the government of Apeplia keep denying about the cases that already exist. According to her post, the Apeplian police chased her and she drove through the front gates of Ranos Tayo's consulate in Segura province. At that time, the consul agreed to let she stay in unused room in the consulate building and become an asylum seeker of Ranostayo. I will proceed to my very first argument, Your Excellencies, regarding to extradition law prohibit Ranostayo to hand over Ms. Ken Black-Vormund to Apre-Pluyan authorities from her political offense. The act of Ms. Vormund was categorized as a political offense since she against the government of Apre-Pluyan through her Twitter, prejudiced her state system of information of Javid-18. The cases of Javid-18 in Apre-Pluyan was hid by the government in Segura province. So Ms. Vormund against her government to say the truth about the cases of Javid-18. And also she against the government by didn't obey the agreement between employer and NBL about non-disclosure agreement. Your Excellencies, actually international law didn't define the political offense in a search of international law. But on the state practice, a political crime or political offense is an offense involving over acts or omission which prejudice the interests of the state, its government, and political system. It can be said that interest of a state it is a Ranostayo and the government it is an Apre-Pluyan and the government of Apre-Pluyan is against by the act of Ms. Ken Black-Vormund did. Your Excellencies, extradition cannot apply by the act of political offense according to the Article 33(1) of the Convention and Protocol relating to the status of refugee and customary international law. The article, I quote, "No contracting state shall expel or return a refugee in any manner whatsoever to the frontiers of territories where his life or freedom would be threatened on account of his political opinion." But Apre-Pluyan and Ranostayo are the parties of this convention, and thereafter neither Apre-Pluyan and Ranostayo have the reservation about the terms of this article. Your Excellencies, according to the Model Treaty on Extradition adopted by General Assembly Resolution 45 under Article 3, mandatory grounds for refusal extradition to the political offense, and if the request state has substantial grounds for believing that the request of extradition has been made for the purpose of persecution or punishing a person on account of that person's race, religion, nationality, ethnic origin, political opinions. Ms. Vormund, who did the political offense, must not be handed over to Apre-Pluyan by Ranostayo because according to the regulation, Ranostayo cannot expel her and she cannot be returned to Apre-Pluyan. Thus, Ranostayo as a state respects the international law, protects her life, and protects her life, respect to the international law, protects her life from persecution of Apre-Pluyan. It also drawn by the case of Edward Joseph Snowden in the one of reflection of protects the asylum from the political offense. Your Excellencies, the Pan-American Convention.
Counselor, before we move forward, you mentioned about Snowden case in this honorable court. Is that clear that there is a big difference from Snowden cases through Ms. Vormund cases in this situation? Because Ms. Vormund is one of the staff that works in the NBL. So she is obligated to obey any regulation or any prior agreements that have been made by the NBL with all of their employees, included with the non-disclosure agreement. What is your response about this?
Yes, Your Excellencies, why the Ranastayo view that this case is similarity with the case of Edward Joseph Snowden, because the Edward Joseph Snowden is one of the member of CIA of the U.S. and also he disclosed the information of the U.S. To the world through her social media also, and why Ranastayo intended to protect Miss Forman, even if Miss Forman is the NBL member and signed the NBL non-disclosure agreement. Because Your Excellencies, Ranastayo as a country has the rights to accept her to our asylum seeker under Article 14 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Yes, we respect to the NBL, to the non-disclosure agreement by NBL and Apreplian authorities, but Your Excellencies, the act of Miss Furman to lack the regulation of NBL non-disclosure agreement because she wants to protect Apreplia from that kind of Javid-Aden virus because the Apreplian authorities keep hiding that virus and can't handle that virus well. The act of Miss Forman is reflection of the protects public interest, Your Excellencies. This is in line with our third argument regarding to the public interest over the act of Miss Forman. Your Excellencies, Ranastayo as a country respect to the public interest. And in this case, is a COVID-19 pandemic is categorized as a public interest, and this public interest is protected by Miss Kenba Vormund to the by the Miss Forman by her disclose the information about the COVID-19 pandemic spread in NBL, and also Your Excellencies, public interest also drawn by the Articles 9 Rome 1 Convention that the public interest can revert to the society as a whole, to a local interest or to group. This means that Ranastayo protects Miss from Farman to become our asylum seeker is reflected to the international law protects public interest, and also Ranastayo as a state protects her from her fundamental rights of person according to the Article 14 of the Universal Declaration, Universal Human Rights Declaration, as said before. I mentioned before. May I continue, Your Excellencies?
Yes, you may.
Yes, Your Excellency, to conclude, Ranastayo believed that Apreplia had a purpose to prosecute Miss Forman because of her information about the cases of COVID-19 in NBL. Ranastayo will continue to evaluate the cases because there is impossible to say that Miss Forman commits crime because of her statement. It is clear that Ranastayo refused to hand over Miss Forman didn't violate international law. It has thus considered to international law to refuse extradition from the political offense. Your Excellencies, for the foregoing reason, respondent respectfully requests to the court that finds it Weber to judge and declare that Ranastayo didn't violate international law by applying its entry regulation to Apreplia, and even if it did, it should not be required Apreplia for any claim of economic losses, and Ranastayo didn't violate international law by refusing to hand over Ms. Kenba Formun to Apreplian authorities. Thank you, Your Excellencies.
Okay, thank you, Agent. I will call the last agent of the respondent to deliver his submission. 21 minutes. Setelah ini langsung ini ya komen dari Isan ya untuk masukan dan tanya jawab. Oke, silakan.
Okay. Very good evening, Your Excellencies and the agent of United Republic of Aprepluya, Mr. President and judges. My name is M. Yusuf Akbar. It is the honor to appear before this court representing on the behalf of the Democratic State of Ranastayo as respondent in this case concerning the COVID-19 pandemic between Aprepluya and Ranastayo, where I will speak for the next 21 minutes, and I will address our third and fourth submissions regarding to the court may exercise jurisdictions over Ranapstayu's counterclaim concerning the maintenance of aircraft and Apria violated international law by shooting down the aircraft. Your Excellencies, with your permissions, I will begin to deliver from our third submissions, and may it please the court. The problem emerged when Ms. Verman, who already an applicant for asylum seeker to Ranapstayo, is intended to manage to get away from the territory of Apria, but in the process, her airplane was shot down by the Air Force of Apria. The reason to do that is because they believe that airplane was used for committing a terrorist actions, but it turned out, based on the recording crash of the airplane, from the conversations of Ms. Verman and Ms. Wei, they never intended to use that airplane for terrorist actions. Rather than they only want to get away from the territory of Apria. Because of this, Your Excellencies, we declare that in our third submissions, the court may exercise jurisdictions over Ranapstayo counterclaim concerning the maintenance aircraft, where Your Excellencies, in these submissions consist of two main arguments, where in the first argument, the court has jurisdictions under Article 36 Statute of the International Court of Justice, and in the second argument, the court has jurisdictions over Ranapstayo counterclaim concerning the maintenance aircraft. Your Excellencies, in our first argument, the court has jurisdictions under Article 36 Statute of the Court, where under Article 36, Paragraph 1, Statute of the ICJ, where it provides, I quote, the jurisdictions of the court comprises all cases which the parties refer to it and all matters specially provided for it in the Charter of the United Nations or in treaties and conventions in force, unquote, where Your Excellencies, based on a statement of fact on 17 August 2020, both Apria and Ranapstayo already agreed to have this dispute to proceed in the ICJ, and this is already fulfilled based on the Article 36, Paragraph 1 Court Statute. Moreover, Your Excellencies, the court may also be granted jurisdictions over dispute arising from the international treaty where such treaty contained a compromissory clause providing for this. In fact, quite a large number of international treaty, both bilateral and multilateral, do include a clause awarding the ICJ jurisdictions with respect to questions that might arise from the interpretation and application of the agreement. Moving on, the court has jurisdiction based on the declarations of Apria and Ranapstayo on 7 January 2002 and March 2003, where at that time, Your Excellencies, both countries had respectively deposited declaration with the Secretary General of the United Nations, where under Article 36, Paragraph 2 of the Statute of the ICJ, both declared that accepting ICJ jurisdiction as compulsory ipso facto and without special agreement. Your Excellencies, if the court does not have jurisdiction because of a reservation, it may still have jurisdiction on another basis. A limitations on the court's jurisdictions under a compromissory clause, but not in the declaration, does not affect the declarations. Moreover, Your Excellencies, Article 93, Paragraph 1 of the Charter of United Nations provide that, I quote, all members of United Nations are ipso facto parties to the Statute of the International Court of Justice, unquote. Moreover, in the Article 36, Paragraph 2, the court also has jurisdiction regarding to the legal dispute concerning the interpretation of treaty, any question of international law, the existence of any fact which, if established, will constitute a breach of international obligations, and the nature or extent of the reparation to be made for the breach of an international obligations. It invoked its own acceptance of the jurisdictions of the court under the optional clause of Article 36, Paragraph 2 of the statute. In the Article 36, Paragraph 2 represented whether it is decided that the court has jurisdiction in relation to a particular dispute or not. The parties, in all cases, remain responsible for acts attributable to those who violate the right of other countries, Your Excellencies. Your Excellencies, pursuant to Article 36, Paragraph 2, are in the majority of cases conditional and, as noted, are dependent upon reciprocity for operation. This means that the court will only have jurisdictions under Article 36, Paragraph 2 to the extent that both the declarations of the two parties in dispute cover or the same issues or issues. The doctrine of the lowest common denominator thus operates since the acceptance by means of the optional clause by one state of the jurisdictions of the court in relation to any other state accepting the same obligation. It is known that declaration in identical term from the parties are necessary, but both declaration must grant jurisdictions to the court regarding the dispute in question. Your Excellency is moving to my second argument. The court has jurisdictions over an abstaiu interest on the counterclaim, where the court has jurisdictions regarding to the run abstaiu counterclaim over shooting down the Maintian Airways. As stated on the Article 36, paragraph 2 of the court also still have jurisdiction regarding to the legal dispute concerning the interpretation of a treaty, any question of international law, the existence of any fact which, if established, will constitute a breach of an international obligations, and the nature or extent of the reparations to be made for the breach of international obligation. In this case, Your Excellencies, APRI Pluya has fulfilled the clause any question of international law, the existence of any fact which will constitute a breach of an international obligations. The fulfillment of this clause are based on the run abstaiu interest over the counterclaim, where we believe that Your Excellencies, APRI Pluya has violated international law by shooting down the Maintian Airways, because Your Excellencies, the action of shooting down the Maintian Airways are violated the Chicago Conventions of the 1944, where it's to be specific, in the Article 3 bis A provide that each state must refrain from using weapons against civilian aircraft. Moreover, the APRI Pluya action on shooting down the Maintian Airways aircraft also...
Counselor, before you move forward, as far as you already present your arguments regarding this case, you haven't touched any, or I can say you haven't responded to any claims made by APRI Pluya by using the territorial principle, saying that the action, the incidents, the shooting down of the planes happened inside their territorial. What is your response about this? Is there any case under international law that prohibits, that support the respondent to give a counterclaim for this shooting down?
Yes, Your Excellencies, thank you. I understand your concern regarding to the domestic jurisdictions of the APRI Pluya. We believe that, Your Excellencies, to be known that Ms. Verman is already considered our applicant for asylum. And when the aircraft of Ms. Verman was shot down by the Air Force APRI Pluya, we believe that it will automatically involve the international dispute, where we have right regarding to Ms. Verman, who were under aircraft of Maintian Airways, was shot down by APRI Pluya. Then it become our concern, and that is why the reason why we proceed to this dispute to the ICJ. And to be specific, Your Excellencies, that regarding to the use of force against civil aircraft, there is a prohibitions, and many international society backing up regarding to the prohibit of using air force against civil aircraft, where Your Excellencies, the International Court of Justice, majority of legal theory consider that the non-use of weapons as a peremptory norm of international law, also called of ius cogens, where, Your Excellencies, the United General Assembly asking all states to take the necessary step to avoid incident involving attacks on civil aircraft that accidentally stray from the fixed route. Similarly, Your Excellencies, the International Civil Aviation Organization on several occasions has upheld the principle of protecting civil aircraft, where ICAO said that the Assembly condemns all acts of violence which may be directed against aircraft crew, and passenger engaged in the international air transport. Also, Your Excellencies, the United Nations Security Council resolution number 1067 condemned the use of weapons against civil aircraft in flight as being incompatible with elementary considerations of humanity, the rule that was the purpose as the addendum to Article 3 of the Chicago Conventions. So in the end, Your Excellencies, the legality of using force of to civilian aircraft cannot be justified because many international organizations, both UN General and many other practices that of state condemns the use of force against civilian aircraft, Excellencies. May I proceed?
Yes, you may.
Thank you, Your Excellencies. Your Excellencies, moving to my fourth submissions regarding to Aprilia violated international law by shooting down the aircraft. Your Excellencies, every civilian aircraft is under protection of the Conventions on International Civil Aviation or the Chicago Conventions. The action that was taken by Aprilia to shooting down Malaysian Airways aircraft is indeed violating international law. Well, based on the Article 3 bis A provide protection of civil aircraft from the use of force against it. And that's why allow me to deliver you our argument in this fourth submissions, which consists of two main arguments. Where in the first argument, we believe that Aprilia is violated international law for shooting down the Malaysian Airways. And in the second argument, the right to life of every person on board of the Malaysian Airways. Your Excellencies, in our first argument, Aprilia is violated international law for shooting down the Malaysian Airways because, Your Excellencies, there are prohibitions of using air forces against civilian aircraft, where, Your Excellencies, the prohibitions of armed forces against civil aircraft follows an international norm, where at the year of 1928, there is the board of the Kellogg-Briand Pact that is became the first convention to establish the non-use of force as a principle regulating international law, a rule taken up by the Charter of United Nations and upheld by the International Court of Justice. This principle, Your Excellencies, are indeed bring an impact on a civil aviation to the extent that a state may not use armed forces against a commercial aircraft. The UN General Assembly, as I mentioned before, asking all states to take the necessary steps to avoid incidents. And the ICAO also condemned the use of weapons that
Counselor, I think it's a bit exaggerating to classify this aircraft as a commercial aircraft, even though generally the maintained airways is operated under the commercial business. But in this case, there is no prior notification or there is no prior information given to the government of either applicant or respondent that this airplane is going to fly based on commercial or private business. So how you jump to the conclusion that this aircraft can be classified as commercial business under the treaty?
Yes. Yes, Your Excellencies, I understand your concern concerning to the legality of the aircraft of Malaysian Airways. Your Excellencies, do be know that based on the statement of fact, the aircraft of the Malaysian Airways registered under number of S7B and P, where Your Excellencies under the Chicago Conventions that yes, we know that the flight of Miss Vermont in the Malaysian Airways is illegal because there is no clear authorizations from the authority of Aprilia at the time. But Your Excellencies, it doesn't matter because why? Article 5 of the Chicago Convention still provide the right of non-scheduled air service to be protected under Chicago Conventions. Regarding to the civilian aircraft, Your Excellencies, yes, Malaysian Airways is actually a civilian aircraft because clearly, Your Excellencies, Malaysian Airways is not a state aircraft. If Malaysian Airways is under state aircraft, then yes, it cannot be protected under Chicago Conventions. And that's why, Your Excellencies, in this proceeding, we believe that Aprilia is violated international law, especially in the Chicago Conventions, for shooting down that Malaysian Airways because, Your Excellencies, the very purpose of the Chicago Convention itself is to provide protections in the civil aircraft. And yes, Malaysian Airways is actually civil aircraft. And to be repeat that Article 5 of the Chicago Convention still provide protections of civil aircraft, even though that flight is illegal, Your Excellencies.
Counselor, are you aware that there is a recordings sent by the suspected FOG members saying, given to both parties, applicant and respondent, saying that they are planning a terrorist attack to both countries, and they're planning to do it by using commercial airplanes. And this is basically one of the strongest arguments given by the applicant, saying that they already have evidence that there's going to be an attack, a terrorism attack, deployed to their country. So they take specific measures, and under international convention for suppression of the finance of terrorism, financing the terrorism, Article 4, saying that each state party shall conduct any necessary measures to prohibit, protect, and criminalize the terrorism attacks. What is your response to this?
Yes, yes. Your Excellencies, concerning to the claim of Apri-Pruya Authority regarding to the possible threat of terrorist actions, Your Excellencies, we clearly state that they only play based on their assumptions. Because why, Your Excellencies? We also know that the use of lethal force by our Apri-Pruya Authority was excessive and contrary to the international norm, where, Your Excellencies, in the Nachova case judgment, in the following terms, allow me to quote, there can be no necessity to put human life at risk where it is known that the person to be arrested poses no threat to life or limb, and even if a failure to use lethal force may result in the opportunity to arrest the fugitive being lost, unquote. Moreover, Your Excellencies, to be clear that Mentian Airways is a civilian aircraft, not a state aircraft, and it must be considered as a non-threat. Even if Apri-Pruya deemed as a threat to their nations, Your Excellencies, Apri-Pruya only play based on their assumptions. Such assumption is clearly danger in the case when the lack of evidence, Your Excellencies. Also, international law never universally accept to recognize based on the preemptive attack, and thus Apri-Pruya action to use lethal force is excessive and must be responsible at all costs, Your Excellencies. To be specific also, Your Excellencies, even if Apri-Pruya thinks that Ms. Furman death is the cause of the in the law enforcement context, because yes, Your Excellencies, we believe that the Ms. Furman death is because the law enforcement context of Apri-Pruya, because Your Excellencies, Philip Alston, in the United Nations Special Rapporteur on extrajudicial summary or arbitrary execution, summarily rejects the possibility that international human rights law might accept as lawful any deaths of innocent persons that are incidental to a target killing in a law enforcement context, where, I quote, killing of anyone other than the target will be an arbitrary deprivation of life under human rights law and could result in a state responsibility and individual criminal liability. Thus, Your Excellencies, in the end, that whatever the reasons of Apri-Pruya thinks that they want to protect their nations from the terrorist actions, then that action still not tolerable under international society, Your Excellencies. May I proceed, Your Excellencies?
Yes, you may.
Thank you, Your Excellencies. Your Excellencies, to be clear again that Your Excellencies, Ms. Furman as Ms. Ye is the victim of the term security, like the term terrorism, is one that brings with it both theoretical uncertainties and considerable emotional baggage. And one must avoid, Your Excellencies, allowing the use of broad terms such as security to cloud our understanding of the substance of state duties in respect of the individual right to life in a purely law enforcement context. These duties, Your Excellencies, are not significantly different in the context of terrorists or the threat to security from what they are in the normal times. Their content must always be considered in the context not of labels, Your Excellencies, but rather of a particular fact of situations. The point to be made here is that it is the only in the context of protecting child right, most particularly the right to life, that state deprivation of life may even be contemplated. Ms. Furman and Ms. Wei, life must be protected at very first. They are both the victim of frivolous labels of the term terrorism. Because of that label, Your Excellency, sadly, their life had been lost. Therefore, Your Excellencies, Apri-Pruya must be responsible for their actions. To summarize in my last arguments, the opinion of the International Court of Justice and legality of the threat or use of nuclear weapons might also be understood as further authority for the provisions that international human rights law does not allow for incidental deaths of innocent person in a law enforcement context. Thus, if appropriate state their action for shooting down Mentian Airways is incidental or in the context of law enforcement, that kind of excuse must not be acceptable, and therefore Apria must be responsible at all costs. Lastly, Your Excellencies, in our prayer for relief, Ranab Setayu requests that the court judge and declare that the court may exercise jurisdictions over Ranab Setayu counterclaim concerning the Medan Airways aircraft, and Apria violated international law by shooting down the aircraft. Thank you, Your Excellencies.
All right. Thank you for both applicant and respondent. Now we will move forward to the commentary session. Bang Ari mau duluan, Bang? Bang Ari ada di sini ya?
Bang Arinya lagi keluar.
Oke. Pertama, saya kasih selamat dulu sama teman-teman semua. You did a great job, guys. So far, dan apa yang kalian sudah tampilkan tadi menurut saya itu sudah jauh ya daripada apa yang pernah misalnya saya atau Bang Ari pernah dapat capai dulu. Nah, teman-teman sudah kelihatan sekali bekerja keras untuk apa yang mau dikerjakan sekarang. Nah, saya akan beri beberapa komentar sebelum nanti teman-teman boleh bertanya, silahkan. Pertama tadi di bagian aplikan dan responden itu ya, kelihatan sekali bahwa mungkin teman-teman itu basicnya itu debat. Nah, please keep in mind that JASAP is not a debate competition. You as the counselor, you are the representative of your country. So before the court, you have to maintain a certain level of respect, attitude, and manners, right? That's the best thing. That's the first thing. Jadi manners-nya tolong diperhatikan sekali. Kalau lihat, misalnya, kalau dulu saya waktu pertama kali belajar JASAP, karena di atas kami itu tidak ada yang bisa ngajarin ya. Jadi saya belajar itu kebanyakan dari YouTube. Jadi kalau teman-teman lihat di tahun-tahun 2008, 2009 itu gaya JASAP-nya masih sangat kental sekali. Nah, tolong diperhatikan banget ya soal manners ini, gimana seharusnya teman-teman membukanya seperti apa. Terus tadi Yusuf sudah bagus kan, dia setiap 5 menit dia selalu make sure that the judges follow the game. The judges-nya itu engage gitu ya. Jadi engagement-nya itu penting karena pertama kalian ada trouble soal logat juga, soal accent. So it's not easy to remove the accent, the Indonesian accent. So you have to ensure that within your limits of English skills, they will understand you based on their engagement, right? So ya harus pastikan terus tuh setiap 5 menit, may I proceed or is there any kalian at least nanya gitu loh. May I proceed to the second argument? May I proceed to the next argument, Your Excellencies? Lalu di awal make sure that kalian tahu siapa judges-nya, justice-nya siapa dan siapa namanya. Karena it's not polite to just call them judge while they have a name, right? So kalau bisa kalian tahu namanya, misalnya kalian panggil Judge Ari or Mr. President or at least kalian tahu namanya gitu. Misalnya Judge Dinata gitu. Jadi itu part of manners. Karena percaya atau enggak, kalau di JASAP tuh semuanya tuh udah ini ya, argumentasinya tuh udah di-provide ya sama si panitianya, dia udah kasih clue-cluenya. Argumentasinya kalau diaplikasikan nih bahan-bahannya ini. Kalau di responden bahannya ini. Jadi ketimpangan argumentasi itu nggak akan jauh. Nah, yang lebih diperhatikan tuh ya manners-nya sebagai seorang diplomat, sebagai seorang representative of a country. Kalian harus express your gratitude and your elegance as a country. Baik. Itu. Terus juga yang tadi kurang kelihatan itu adalah misalnya nih dalam hal, saya lompat-lompat aja nggak apa-apa ya, yang ingat-ingat dulu aja. Misalnya soal compensation. Tadi kan ada baik applicant atau respondent pengen compensate ya, minta si applicant minta respondennya compensate untuk travel ban, dan si responden juga minta supaya compensate di tindakan dia ngebom pesawat itu kan. Nah, coba cari secara teorinya compensation under international law itu bagaimana sih pengaturannya? Dalam international investment law ada yang namanya full reparation principle. Jadi dia bilang kalau di dalam hukum internasional itu ada compensation based on, misalnya kalau dalam investment law ya ada expropriation atau internationally wrongful acts atau moral and punitive damages. Nah, yang kalian bisa pakai nih yang dua ini nih, yang moral and punitive damages sama yang compensation based on internationally wrongful acts. Nah, tadi tidak ada satupun yang ngutip salah satu kasus besar dalam hukum internasional itu kalau mau bahas soal kompensasi adalah Shorzo Factory. Coba cari Shorzo Factory. Nah, dia bilang bahwa kompensasi itu apa? Kompensasi itu adalah apabila negara itu mengganti rugi secara keseluruhan, dia compensate, dan juga dia restitute, artinya dia kembalikan seperti awal. Dan yang ketiga apa? They guarantee they will not do it again in the near future, right? So 3 hal itu harus kalian pastikan dalam kalian kalau nuntut kompensasi ya. Kalian nggak bisa setengah-setengah gitu loh. Kalian nuntut compensate, tapi kalian nggak jelas yang mau di-compensate itu apa gitu. Nah, kompensasinya seperti apa? Nah, kalau dalam peradilan domestik, biasanya kan di akhir itu ada permintaan ad aque et bono, atau permintaan supaya diadil secara seadil-adil, ya kan? Nah, itu juga boleh kalian sampaikan. Jadi ada 4 ya. Kalau kita rangkum, artinya ada 4. Pertama, kalian bilang dia suruh compensate, dia suruh kembalikan apa misalnya yang diambil atau apa yang dirusak, kembalikan. Kalau dalam hal ini economic losses, kalian harus hitung economic losses-nya berapa, ya kan? Nah, kalian akan bilang based on kalau economic losses itu dihitung berdasarkan 2 teori. Satu namanya discounted cash flow, satu lagi namanya DCLF. Abang lupa kepanjangannya. Yang penting ada 2 teori. Nah, kalian juga harus mention kalau economic losses kalian yang hilang itu, kalian menghitungnya bagaimana? Ya kan? Tadi ada persentase kan? Misalnya $7.5 billion went to the GDP of the applicants based on tourism, right? Jadi dari total GDP dia itu 7,5 billion-nya sudah dari tourism. Nah, kalian kalau mau compensate, kalian harus jelasin juga kalian mau compensate-nya dalam bentuk apa. Nah, kesalahannya ini kebanyakan dalam, dan ini jadi pembahasan juga ya dalam international arbitration law sekarang. Kebanyakan negara dia cuma minta ICJ itu compensate aja, tapi dia nggak detail, dia mau minta compensate-nya dalam bentuk apa. Nah, maka 4 hal tadi itu penting kalau dalam compensation. Nah, kalian tuh nggak tuntas gitu loh. Kalian udah berdebat, udah ngomong di submission-nya 4-4, tapi nggak tuntas yang diminta itu apa. Itu nggak kelihatan tadi. Terus juga hati-hati ya kalau mengeneralisir antara human rights dan human rights under terrorism threat situation. Ya, itu beda sekali. Karena human rights under kalau human rights-nya dalam kondisi normal mungkin bisa diberlakukan lah Universal Declaration of Human Rights-nya. UDHR-nya bisa dipakai secara keseluruhan. Tapi kalian harus pasti juga bahwa di dalam konvensi-konvensi misalnya mengenai terorisme, mengenai kondisi darurat seperti itu, ada kan hal-hal yang bisa mengenyampingkan hak-hak itu, apalagi hak freedom of speech itu bagian dari hak asasi yang tidak yang masih bisa dikesampingkan seperti itu. Nah, terus juga tadi teman-teman banyak menggunakan bahasa yang terlalu straightforward. Nah, dalam JSAP itu kurangi ya untuk mengatakan misalnya negara itu si lawan itu they are malicious, kan kalian banyak pakai bahasa yang ini ya agak casual gitu. Kalian bilang dia malicious, kalian bilang bahwa dia tuduhan-tuduhan seperti itu. Tapi lebih mungkin bahasanya tidak tepat atau irresponsible atau mungkin bahasanya artinya coba cari bahasa vocabulary yang lebih pas ya. Karena kan yang kalian cari di ICJ-nya kan nanti solusi juga kan. Nah, jadi jangan sampai malah kayak berdebat gitu loh. Terus juga tadi eye contact-nya juga kalian nggak terlalu, di Yusuf sih udah Yusuf sama Ayu kayaknya udah Yusuf sama Arimbi kayaknya udah lumayan. Cuman nanti coba di ini lagi ya, di maksimalin lagi karena mood court itu kan juga ada bagian dari entertain-nya juga ya. Jadi gimana sih kalian tuh benar-benar kayak lawyer yang wakilin negara kalian tuh perjuangin supaya negara kalian tuh nggak disalah-salahin di ICJ gitu. Jadi lebih detail aja nanti kalau misalnya sudah di depan justice. Terus juga yang perlu diperhatiin, saya nggak tahu aturan sekarang, tapi kalau dulu kan boleh minum ya, boleh ada siapin minum nggak sih? Kalau sekarang gimana sih aturannya di JSAP? Ada yang tahu nggak? Masih boleh nggak kalian bawa minum atau?
Kalau tahun lalu minumnya di itu, Bang, bukan di bench. Boleh tetap minum tapi di dalam ruangan, tapi nggak boleh di bench.
Oh, di bench-nya nggak disiapin minuman ya?
Enggak, cuma disuruh bawa timer aja.
Oke. Kalian nanti ke ruangannya pakai folder map atau pakai apa?
Bebas sih, kalau tahun kemarin tuh boleh pakai folder map, boleh pakai paper biasa.
Kalian rencananya mau pakai apa?
Map. Tapi kan virtual, Bang. Jadi mau di kalau sticky note.
Virtual ya? Oh iya. Oke. Paling itu, abang nggak bisa terlalu banyak komentar soal substance-nya karena memang background-nya bukan HI juga dan isunya lumayan complicated juga kan karena ini isunya baru soal COVID dan pasti teman-teman juga cantelnya ke kasus-kasus yang lumayan baru juga. Nah, yang penting banget nih, please keep in mind that moot court, 60% of moot court is entertainment and 40% of moot court is knowledge. Ya, so dia lebih berat ke entertainnya. Most of the justice, they don't have times to read the memorials. They don't have time to read dozens of pleadings, right? So they'll just use whatever knowledge they have on that day. Jadi kemungkinan besarnya kalian yang harus ready itu di manners dan entertainment-nya juga. Jangan cuma nitik beratin di teorinya aja gitu. Jadi kalau abang sih nggak banyak ya yang mau disampaikan. You did a great job so far. Coba perbaiki lagi bahasa Inggrisnya, perbaiki lagi vocabulary-nya, terus penggunaan grammar-nya. Misalnya, the airplane was shot, bukan was shoot, or ya itu simple kan. Tapi buat yang mereka bahasa ibunya bahasa Inggris tuh mereka pusing juga dengar kalian kalau simple past dan ininya strukturnya berantakan. Jadi coba kalau mungkin lombanya kapan ya?
Pertengahan Maret, tanggal
Nah,
10.
apalagi lombanya tinggal 1 bulan, jadi untuk 1 bulan ke depan coba agak lebih maksimal untuk soal penampilannya, soal bahasa Inggrisnya diperbaiki. Terus kalau bisa kalian coba rekam apa yang kalian sampaikan dalam grup itu belepotan nggak, grammarsnya banyak yang salah nggak. Nah, kalau abang dulu triknya adalah abang bikin satu halaman, one full page yang isinya tuh semua kata per kata yang diucapin selama 21 menit. Jadi kunci-kunci katanya apa aja gitu. Ya apa mau disampaikan. Jadi kita semacam punya skrip sendiri ya. Walaupun nanti pas di penampilan pasti bakal nggak akan ikut skrip itu karena banyak pertanyaan dari judges-nya, banyak clarification kan. Tapi at least kalian punya satu skrip, satu dialog yang kalian latih terus mulai dari pembukaannya seperti apa. Good afternoon, Your Excellencies. It is an honor to represent the state of the respondent in this case. I will be speaking 21 minutes in addressing the first and the second submission, and my co-agents will speak for the next 21 minutes addressing the third and the fourth submission, and we will serve 3 minutes for rebuttal. Nah itu at least yang pembukaan di awal tuh kalian catat dan kalian ulang-ulang sendiri sampai udah lancar ngomongnya. Jadi first impressionnya bagus kan. Terus juga tadi Arimbi ya, dia nanya may please to quote. Pas dia mau mulai di awal, nah, nanti saya akan sampaikan ini may please to quote. Ya, tapi kamu nggak ngecek dulu gitu kan? At least kamu ngeliatin, kamu ngecek dulu si judges-nya udah ngangguk atau belum, udah respon atau belum. Ya, nanti kalau kayak abang kan tadi mungkin karena abang matiin kameranya ya. Tapi kalau nanti pas di penampilan coba make sure that they engage in your conversation. Gitu. Mungkin itu aja. Sisanya ya kalian poles lagi lah untuk jangan terpaku sama dokumen yang dikasih sama mereka aja. Coba iseng-iseng cari-cari dokumen sendiri, karena kalau di JESAP mau H-1 kalian mau rubah waktu di pleadingnya juga nggak masalah, ya kan. Yang penting kalian kan ngasih memorialnya, ngasih pleadingnya ke mereka, ke lawan kalian udah dapat tuh. Tapi kalau kalian sampai H-1 masih ketemu findings baru dan kalian sampai di court-nya juga masalah. Kalian bisa bilang klarifikasi bahwa I will correct the documents later gitu. Kalau di ICJ boleh kayak gitu. Jadi menjelang hari H, coba usahain kalian nemu satu dua findings yang nggak disuplai sama ILSA-nya, sama JESAP-nya. Jadi pasti mereka si tim lawannya nggak tahu kan. Nah, coba perdalam lagi yang dasar-dasar soal hukum internasional, diperdalam lagi soal the use of force, the force major clause, sama general principle. Jangan bilang bahwa force major itu prinsip-prinsip biasa aja, tapi itu general principle of international law, seperti itu. Nah, jadi kalau kalian ngasih statement, hati-hati apalagi kalau ini soal teori hukum internasional kan. Paling itu aja Bang Ari mau ditambahin?
Mungkin kalau ada pertanyaan kali ya dari mereka.
Silakan kalau ada pertanyaan dari teman-teman.
Bang, izin mau bertanya tadi Bang mengenai economic clauses tadi itu. Kalau nggak salah Abang tadi ada nyaranin membaca tentang Zozo Factory ya. Lalu Abang jelasin pengertian dari kompensasi itu, restitusi dan itu. Nah kalau nggak salah Bang ya itu pernah dibaca. Kalau nggak salah kami pernah baca itu sebelumnya. Memang benar pengertian dari restitusi itu sendiri, pengertian kompensasi itu sendiri adalah mengembalikan kembali, bukan hanya mengembalikan kembali dalam keadaan semula, baru dengan janji tidak akan mengulangi kembali. Nah, tapi Bang, di situ ada titik intinya, harus ada kategori injurinya dulu. Dan itu terjadi kalau misalkan negara itu merusak sesuatu, misalkan kayak dia menghancurkan pabrik atau gimana nggak sengaja, itu dikembalikan semula. Nah, dalam kasus ini kan Bang, sebenarnya permintaan kompensasi ekonominya itu di entry regulation-nya, bench-nya. Apakah dengan bench ini boleh nggak kami jadikan sebagai landasan injurinya gitu? Karena dia melanggar hukum internasional. Karena kan Bang, di International Wrongful Act itu, suatu negara dapat dikatakan dia melanggar hukum internasional apabila dia dianggap melanggar hukum internasional itu sendiri atau ada yang dilanggar pelanggarannya. Tepat nggak Bang kalau sebenarnya itu dijadikan landasan paling dasar untuk apa namanya? Seperti entry regulation ini kan dia memban sebenarnya, memban atau memprohibited every country. Nah gitu. Itu tepat nggak Bang sebenarnya? Padahal faktanya kalau kita lihat di COVID sekarang ini sering dilakukan oleh negara lain. Mohon masukannya Bang lebih lagi. Terima kasih.
Oke. Kalau compensation ya, kalau dalam generally under international law, memang kalau misalnya nih kalau dalam hal misalnya negara A dengan negara B itu punya perjanjian investasi misalnya. Nah, maka negara A dan negara B itu wajib untuk memberikan misalnya fair and equal treatment, lalu full protection and security terhadap any facilities, any assets, any investment objects of their both countries. So at least misalnya Indonesia ada investasi di Malaysia, maka dia nggak boleh expropriate sembarangan, dia nggak boleh hancurin sembarangan, dia nggak boleh riot atau police riot masuk ke situ sembarangan, karena itu masuk kategori sebagai premis yang murni dari kewenangan teritorial negara itu gitu loh. Cuman dalam hal compensation secara umum, compensation itu tidak hanya hal bicara soal expropriation terhadap pabrik atau direct ngerti nggak, kayak direct perusakan secara langsung aja terhadap objek gitu. Tapi juga bicara soal misalnya moral and punitive damages. Kalau moral and punitive damages kan kalian nggak bisa jelasin juga kan. It's not something tangible, right? Jadi nggak bisa juga kalian jelasin apa sih tindakannya yang sehingga bisa menyebabkan kalian bisa ngajuin kompensasi. Nah, di International Wrongful Acts dan Moral and Punitive Damages itu, kalian mungkin saja bikin argumentasi bahwa tindakan si responden ini menyebabkan secara imaterial ekonomi kalian terdampak kan. Nah, maka kalian bisa komplain ke si ICJ-nya, dan kalian kan punya dasar bahwa misalnya dia tidak lapor ke WHO dulu, dia tidak berikan clarification yang jelas kenapa dia langsung masukin kalian sebagai high risk countries. Kalian kan punya baseline-nya di situ. Nah, pakailah baseline itu, dan ketika kalian minta compensation, ya, maksud abang itu kalian harus jelas gitu. Yang mau di-compensate itu apa, dan kalau maupun si ICJ-nya bantu compensate, maunya di-compensate seperti apa, ya kan? Kalian cuma minta pokoknya ganti rugi, tapi nggak jelas ganti ruginya mau minta apa, mau minta bakwan, mau minta nasi goreng, mau minta apa, nggak jelas. Itu sih yang penting. Mungkin kalian kalau nanti cari-cari lebih jauh, mungkin banyak ya artikel yang bahas secara langsung. Kalau economic losses itu kan sering jadi baseline di kasus ICJ ya, dan compensation di kasus-kasus ICJ itu sering berdasarkan economic losses. Coba cari beberapa kasus yang pakai economic losses sebagai baseline kompensasi mereka, dan gimana sih mereka nge-argumentasiin kompensasi itu. Nah, kalau bisa sampai tahu gitu compensate-nya itu mau berapa gitu. Bukan angka ya, tapi arahnya kemana gitu, apa aja yang harus dikompensate, dan harus janji si negaranya nggak ngulangin lagi, nggak serampangan lagi gitu.
Ada lagi?
Izin Bang. Ya, berkaitan dengan the way kita ngerespon kan, misalnya nanti judges nanya gitu, Nah, manners yang benar itu gimana kalau kita sebagai agent itu merespon dari pertanyaan dari judges itu, Bang?
At least kalian nunggu mungkin barang 3 atau 5 detik ya, sampai dia benar-benar selesai. Dan mungkin kalian, kalau dulu abang ya nggak tahu apa itu terlalu berlebihan atau enggak, tapi kalau dulu kami itu pasti nanya, may I respond to your, kayak, may I respond it now, may I proceed your excellencies, atau may I respond your question excellencies. Ya, kalau dia belum, kadang kan dia baru mikir-mikir, dia belum selesai nanya, kalian udah ngerasanya karena kalian buru-buru dan pengen ngejar waktu, kalian jadinya ini kan, nge-cut dia kan. Nah, itu manners-nya udah kena gitu. Jadi at least kasih waktu dia 3-5 detik, apalagi nih online ini bisa jadi jaringannya bermasalah lah, apalah. At least kalian pastiin banget, jangan pelit soal waktu. Pakai aja waktunya, kasih dia jeda 3-5 detik, pastiin kalau dia udah selesai nanya baru jawab. Nah, itu. Ada lagi yang masih bingung sejauh ini dari aplikan sama?
Izin Bang mau bertanya. Mungkin Yusuf tuh mau nanya, misalkan Bang, manner kita stabil kayak ya elegan gitu kan, let it flow gitu, nah kayak ya kita menjalani perannya gitu kan, kayak abang bilang tadi kan 60% of entertainment, 40%-nya baru substance. Nah itu biar tetap gimana dah Bang, misalnya kan kita di awal-awal pas udah nyampe oke tenang, pas udah mulai masuk ke pertanyaan judges kita mulai tiba-tiba kayak mendebate kayak gitu, maksudnya ya tetap relax tapi substansinya tuh ngena. Nah, itu nah yang mungkin yang itu gimana Bang melatihnya, atau ada latihan-latihan tertentu atau gimana?
Itu paling memang harus di dialog. Makanya abang bilang tadi kalian mungkin bisa pakai rekaman. Coba kalian rekam 21 menit itu kalian ngomong apa aja. Jadi kalaupun kalian di-interrupt dalam 21 menit, kalian udah di otak itu udah jelas susunannya itu habis ini saya mau ngomong apa gitu. Jadi kalian bisa ngasih orang toleransi 1-2 menit untuk kasih respon. Apalagi kalau judges-nya yang bawel kan, dia sering kali itu judges itu kebanyakan juga dia malah nunjukin kalau dia ngerti loh. Jadi dia kayak ngejelasin. Itu kalau menurut Giorgio Factory Case tuh compensation tuh kayak gini. Dan pertanyaannya tuh kadang simpel aja. Tapi dia cuma menunjukin kalau dia itu engage gitu kan. Nah, makanya kalian kalau bisa kalian usahain kalian tuh paham banget sama 21 menit itu kalian mau ngomong apa, dan at least kasih spare waktu 2 menit. Jadi kalian cuma boleh pakai itu 19 menit, 18 menit, karena itu pasti nggak akan cukup. Seenggaknya judges tuh bisa nanya 2-3 kali, ya kan? Nah, anggap aja 2-3 kali itu 1 menit respon dan 1 menit pertanyaan. Berarti udah ada 6 menit yang dipakai buat pertanyaan gitu loh. Nah, artinya waktu bersihkannya cuma 15 menit. Nah, itu yang harus dipastiin. Makanya Yusuf nanti coba di setiap pertanyaan itu ada pause kan. Pause lah barang mungkin 3-5 detik sebelum dijawab. Jadi ngejawabnya pun bisa kayak calm down dulu baru dijawab gitu kan. Nah, terus juga pokoknya jangan mikir kalau JESAP itu kayak debat gitu. Kalau mikirnya JESAP itu kayak debat, jadinya kalian malah jotos-jotosan sama judges-nya gitu. Nah, jadi coba lebih santai aja, kayak diskusi aja gitu. Nah, makanya 21 menit itu penting kalian punya at least 1 lembar kalian punya mind map-nya. Habis dari sini saya ngomong ke sini. Bukan bawa pleading-nya yang berapa halaman itu, tapi cukup mind map-nya aja. Jadi kalian tahu, oke, ini udah dibahas, tinggal bahas ini. Kalaupun dijeda, oke, berarti sisain 1 menit buat di sini, 3 menit berikutnya harus sudah bahas yang ini gitu. Agak lebih terstruktur aja pemikirannya nanti, Yusuf. Juga JESAP itu pasti nanti ada engagement juga ke ini ya, nggak tahu kalau sekarang. Kalau dulu itu Bahkan kadang kami kayak nyentil si respondennya juga dalam pleadingnya itu. Nah, mungkin nanti itu di rebuttal bisa. Nah, di rebuttal baru kalian mau ganas-ganasan, mau makan-makan sama si lawannya boleh di rebuttal. Tapi di pleading, tolong usahain seelegan mungkin, terstruktur mungkin, senyaman mungkin ngomongnya. Jadi waktu rebuttal, kalian pun bisa maksimal gitu. Nah, tips buat yang mau rebuttal ketika temennya, misalnya aplikan 1 ngomong nih, submission 1-2 kan, yang punya tugas submission 3-4 itu udah siapin gitu, rebuttal buat si ininya apa gitu, buat si lawannya nanti apa gitu. Nah, waktu si 3-4 maju, si 1-2 juga ngelihat lagi nih rebuttal kita nanti cukup nggak nih ini aja, atau perlu ditambahin lagi nggak? Nah, apalagi pas mereka tampil. Jadi kalian udah tinggal ngechecklist aja. Oke, ini pas buat rebuttal, ini pas buat rebuttal. Tinggal kalian sampaikan ke mereka. Nah, waspada kalau nanti di court jangan ada yang duduk sembarangan, yang sampai ditegur judges manners-nya kurang bagus di video conference-nya. Nah, coba nanti semaksimal mungkin untuk di penampilannya. Karena kalau di teorinya kalian nggak akan mampu ngejar lagi karena waktunya tinggal sebulan. Kan? Paling itu aja sih. Bang Hari?
Nggak tahu, ada lagi nggak? Ada lagi? Kalau enggak, berarti kita tutup ya. Thank you Isan udah bantu kasih masukan dan feedback juga buat timnya kita. Paling kita dapat impact yang tentang ini ya, compensate-nya buat di clearin lagi dan di execute-nya lebih rapi detailnya. Mungkin yang itu kita masih yang kayak general banget ya sih, kita nggak kepikir buat, mungkin itu bisa jadi bagian dari prayer for relief-nya ya, bahwa compensate-nya apa sih yang minta dari si applicant-nya pas di conclusion akhirnya itu ya.
Ya, et yaquet bononya itu penting Bang Ari, jangan sampai dihilangin gitu. Itu kan udah culture banget kan di desa kan. Seenggaknya dia nggak bisa ini pun ya seadil-adilnya lah gitu. Sama kayak peradilan domestik kan.
Benar-benar. Itu yang di bagian terakhir kan, di conclusion sebelum nutup ya. Oke, thank you sekali lagi San, atas bantuannya juga.
Ya, sama-sama, sukses ya teman-teman ya.
Ada lagi guys, kalau enggak kita boleh leave dari grup ini. Kayaknya enggak sih. Oke, thank you San. Dadah.
Ya, sama-sama Bang.
Thank you, Bang.
Yuk.
Terima kasih Bang.
Yuk.
Much.